Shabbat Shalom and welcome to Israel Update. Today I'm going to start off really and focus on a segment called The Rebuttal. It's the part of the show where we take a viral claim about Israel, put it under the microscope and ask one simple question. Does the evidence actually support the narrative? So today we're looking at a clip from the Young Turks. Now before we begin, let me say something that often gets lost in these conversations. You do not have to agree with every decision made by the Israeli government. Israelis certainly don't. Israel is a democracy. Its citizens argue passionately about politics, criticize their leaders, and hold elections just like any other democratic nation. But there's a difference between criticizing policies and creating a narrative where Israel is always the villain. This clip is a difficult one for me, to be honest, because I find this woman quite loathsome, and the antisemitism that pours out of her is just unutterably phenomenal to see. But we're going to watch. I might interrupt a couple of times just because I become a little bit overwhelmed. But let's start off with this bastion of light and equality, Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks.
Hey, Naftali Bennett, you are the bad guy. Netanyahu is the bad guy. Bezalel Smotrich, bad guy. Itamar Ben-Gvir, bad guy. Israeli settlers, bad guy. You guys are everything you accuse Muslims of being, and worse, a lot worse. The Israeli government.
If I can just pause there for a second, I find it really phenomenal that what she says there is that you're everything that you accuse basically the Islamists of being, but worse. But Israel is the only true democracy in the Middle East. And if she, as a woman with uncovered hair, were to go and flutter about in the Palestinian territories as she is right now, she would be shot. Or worse, God only knows, dragged, behind a truck. But the fact that this is what's being purported, this is what's being reported, and it's being stated as fact. We're going to get more into the breakdown of the narrative. But when you listen to what she's saying, there's just anti-Semitism and hatred pouring out of her. She's making all of these statements as facts. And so far, the most obscene one is that the Israeli leaders are as worse, actually, than the Muslim counterparts, where under Sharia law, I mean, that's a whole show for another day. I think I probably need to do something where I really get stuck into what Sharia law actually means. It's a difficult one. But anyway, let's let her continue talking about this nonsense.
And according to public opinion polling, the majority of the Israeli people are unhinged, bloodthirsty maniacs. You can't carry out a genocide that's streamed in 4D that we've all been witnessing for 3 years straight and blame everything else for why Americans don't support you. We don't support you because you guys are evil. We don't support you because you drag us into your stupid wars because you want to expand your borders and steal land. We don't support you because you're entitled, genocidal, terrorist. It has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. It has everything to do with the behavior of the Israelis. And they just refuse to ever take even an ounce of responsibility for their own behavior. We don't like you because you're already egging on a war against Turkey. Now he's pushing for war against Qatar on top of that. I can't stand it. The entitlement, the lack of self-awareness. I don't deny that Qatar, along with any other foreign country, is going to want to have influence on a military superpower like the United States, obviously. But you can't be a politician in Israel and weep about other countries trying to influence the United States when, you're part of Israel.
Did you catch what happened here? Notice the language. Israelis are called settlers. Israel is described as expansionist. All of its leaders are called evil. Meanwhile, countries like Turkey and Qatar are presented in a far more sympathetic light. And that should immediately raise a question. Are we listening to a balanced analysis, or are we listening to an ideological framework? There's so much to unpack here, but let's start with the word settlers. Who exactly are we talking about here? Every Israeli? People living within Israel's internationally recognized borders? Or specifically Israelis living in disputed areas of the West Bank, which biblically and historically has always been part of Israel's borders? Because those aren't the same thing. When someone like this woman uses one label to describe an entire nation, They've already blurred an important distinction. And that's what she did with one sweep of her brush, just painted it and said, we don't like you. That is the ultimate definition of anti-Semitism. Imagine that being said about any other group of people. Imagine that being said about Black people or white people. I mean, lots of it gets said about white people already, or Asian people, or, I don't know, Buddhist monks. We don't like you because you're evil and you're expansionist and you're fascist. And it's all these trigger words that are so popularized these days. But, you know, again, she's used one label to describe an entire nation, blurring an important distinction. So let's talk about the accusation that Israel is simply an expansionist state. If that's the claim, then we have to look at the history. Israel withdrew from the Sinai Peninsula as part of its peace treaty with Egypt many years ago, where it received nothing, by the way, other than the promise of Egypt not to attack it, but it gave up a significant portion of land. Israel withdrew every soldier and every civilian from Gaza in 2005. Israel signed peace agreements with Jordan. Again, when that occurred, they were giving up a disproportionate amount of land with the promise of Jordan not attacking them. It's not like they received much in return. And Israel entered into the Abraham Accords with several Arab nations. None of that means that every Israeli policy should be immune from criticism, but it does mean that the story is more complicated than simply saying Israel wants to expand. Israel's not expansionist. Their borders are clear. They're not trying to gain more land from anybody. These are borders where historically, biblically, for us as Christians specifically, we look at the scriptures and go, this is what God said. Go read Numbers 34, read through those borders, and you'll see exactly where God said, these are the land markings for the nation of Israel that I have chosen and I have selected. But looking at something else. In this clip, Turkey and Qatar are portrayed as the reasonable actors. Really? Qatar has hosted Hamas's political leadership for years, while simultaneously serving as a mediator in hostage negotiations. Turkey has become one of Israel's fiercest critics while also pursuing its own strategic interests throughout the region. These realities don't fit neatly into a good guys versus bad guys story. And finally, every major Israeli leader is described as evil. Think about that. Different prime ministers, different political parties, different governments, different coalitions, yet somehow the conclusion is always the same. At what point do we stop asking whether every Israeli leader is uniquely evil and start asking whether the conclusion was decided before the evidence was ever considered? Here's the bigger issue. When every action Israel takes is viewed through the assumption of guilt, when every security concern is dismissed, when every Israeli government is portrayed as morally corrupt, we're no longer analyzing events. We're reinforcing a narrative. And here's why that matters. Because narratives shape public opinion. Public opinion shapes policy, and policy affects real people. Whether you agree with Israel or disagree with Israel, we owe it to ourselves to ask difficult questions, not just of Israel, but of the people telling us what to think about Israel. That's what discernment looks like, and that's why truth matters more now than ever before. At the House of Destiny, we stand with Israel. That will never change. We are of those who stand firmly upon the scriptures, upon the words of Jesus, and we stand firmly with the words that Kim Clement prophesied and sang over and over again, that Israel is forever. Each week, I'm going to continue breaking these things down. Obviously, there's so much news coming in. We don't know which media sources to trust. It's a difficult time. But more than that, I want to help portray the horrendous, double-sided, two-faced nature of the media, which is to make these sort of statements that paint every Israeli as being evil, saying blatantly, like this woman did, we don't like any of you, and then also managing to claim, oh, this isn't anti-Semitism, this is just facts. So I hope that's something for you to think about. I pray that as this week continues, as you go forward in your week and in what it is that you're doing, that your heart would be burdened and that you would pray for the peace of Jerusalem and pray that all who are within her walls would prosper. And we pray too for Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu and for President Trump for wisdom to know how to handle the varying situations that are unfolding now. So God bless you, and we'll see you next week on Israel Update.
My dad released a sound in London that still speaks today. Worship, prophetic songs, and a powerful word over the nations. We're honored to share, somewhere in the future, a prophetic legacy with you for your donation of $25 only. Click the link or scan the QR code to receive it today. Hello, friends. I'm Donna Clement Petrushka, and I am honored to invite you to something truly extraordinary, the Kim Clement Prophecy Vault. Now you can gain unprecedented access to my father's entire digitized video archive. Every prophetic moment, every powerful teaching, every anointed worship session is now available to you in the Prophecy Vault. Plus, I'm excited to share that my dad's special School of the Prophets teachings are included, offering you deep, transformative lessons on hearing God's voice and understanding his revelations. Your partnership is crucial. Not only will you gain access to these incredible resources, but you'll also help us continue the vital work of preserving, digitizing, and adding new Kim Clement material to the archives. I'm inviting you to step into the Kim Clement Prophecy Vault. Let's embark on this journey of revelation together, and I can't wait to see you inside.